Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in and check out your boy, P Farm. Thinking right out here in the lab while I do what I do. I'm about to wrap this lesson up for you, so let's get this party started. Rightisms, 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message. There's a message in the story for life. I give life lessons. You tune in and receive them. I appreciate you. Let's do what we do. Right thinking, mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking's way of life through mental and spiritual discipline, practice daily, will help and guide you to attain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. See where I'm going with this? So I ask the question, do you know you? It's rhetorical. But if you don't have an answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you with that. That's what I do for you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them on the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself, and always, to my yacht, be true. I'm wrapping up the lesson of the fourth parable. We just went through humility and the whole purpose of it. Right thinkers, let's talk about now living a spiritually disciplined lifestyle through what? The practice of lucidity, detachment of your ego self. That ego, the ego self, in order for you to raise your consciousness to be your best self, you have to conquer the ego self, your lower self. So let's talk about it. The idea of living the spiritual lifestyle, spiritually disciplined lifestyle, allows you, the aspirant, to go beyond the physical and erroneous desires and thoughts and feelings that cause agitation of the mind. Meaning, when you want what you want and you don't get it, you're not happy. That's dictating your emotions. That's not having control over them. Letting someone else control how you feel, not good. So, and it shows a person what? How to calm the mind. Well, I got thoughts. Okay, thoughts are just that. You got to learn how, and through, excuse me, I meant to take, through daily meditation, it will show you how to clear your mind. Sorry, but or calm the mind. That's the purpose of meditation. Show you how to slow the thoughts down, calm down the negative thoughts, weed them out, so to speak, let them go by, and you get better at that. Why? Because when the mind is calm, it becomes clear, just as a lake becomes clear when what? When the water subsides and the waves start blowing, it's just tranquil. You can see to the bottom. That's how the mind should be. That's the metaphor they use. And this, watch this. This calmness or serenity of what? The mind, meaning you're at peace, you're calm. That's what meditation does for you. Get you to able to go there when daily, and it allows what? Your real essence of yourself to what? To become clear and visible, and your ego becomes transparent. Okay, insignificant. Why? He's not in control. That's why. When the mind is cleansed, meaning positive thoughts, good reactions, good things, keeping a good concept going, positive thinking, the divine, and keeping your thoughts. I tell you, I'm God conscious. I'm not going to do nothing without making sure it's okay in his eyes. Oh, you so holy than that? No, I just tell you, I'm God conscious. Before I do something, I'm going to think twice. And is that good? No. If it ain't, I ain't doing it. That's all. And when you get better at that, it becomes a habit. That's where I'm at in my life. When you focus and your mind is cleansed by what? Thinking about the divine self, and now it comes into what? Clear view as what? The reality that sustains even your ego, meaning your higher self controls the ego self too. You got to give the ego to what? To the higher self, God. When the mind is purified, meaning you got control of your thoughts, you learn how to eradicate the negative thoughts that leads to negative actions. You eradicate all the stuff that's going to lead you astray. Then you get better at what? Doing the right thing. And the mind is purified. Now it's what? The void of what? Of the pressures, of your self-desires and your ignorance and illusions that one reaches with a state of what? Harmony with the universe. Once you realize you ain't giving in to your lower nature, you understand this is all illusionary, now you can reach the next level up. That's how it's done. Watch this. This state of consciousness, which a person has to what? Experience for him or herself, when the mind and sense, mind and heart is referred to as what now? As lucidity of the mind. I mean, the mind is clear. The mind is able and aware to function at its best. Lucidity is the quality which is characterized how? By the detachment from what? Your ego self and identification with what? Now your higher self, aka God. If the ego self is you, human part, which is cool, you raise yourself, your conscious understanding who you are to become conscious of you being God. You and God are one. That's the idea of knowing thyself. That's my goal. So therefore, watch this. This is important. I'll be highlighted it. Lucidity of the mind, clarity, understanding is the objective of all right thinkers who's on practicing spiritual disciplines. You're practicing the spiritual discipline so that you're going to obey your higher self. When you make a decision to do something, you're going to check with your higher self. That's letting your conscious be your guide, so to speak. And what happened? Now, because what? Your higher self leads to spiritual enlightenment, self-knowledge, and freedom from what? Ignorance of your higher self. Free you from egoism, thinking only about yourself, and negative karma will only come when you do negative deeds. And everything that you've done already, you got to pay for that. But you can stop that negative by what? Turn over a new leaf, change your life around, going back in a positive direction. I see a lot of people doing it. They call it becoming conscious, waking up, whatever it is, born again, whatever you determine, whatever you call it. But that's what needs to be done for every individual, for themselves, okay? And every person who is lucid is what? Free. From what? From worldly attachments and internally for fear. Why? Because I don't rely on nothing outside of myself to make me happy. Physically, mentally, financially, none of that means anything when you reach this level. That's the difference. And he or she, again, will express goodwill towards what? All. See the difference? And displays what? A gentle nature. Respect. Carry yourself in that manner. I never forget when my man Kung Fu, once he left the Shaolin Temple, he was a monk. He carried himself respectfully, quiet. He ain't the one you might want to mess with. A lot of people didn't find that out until what? They mess with him. So the idea is carry yourself in gentle nature. But this was, in Het Haru, was a bad girl. This was her conditions when what? When she entered into the city of Waset. They received her, they was happy, they praised her, so she was on top of her game, so to speak, where she needed to be, back in the arms of her people. Now, it is notable, when you hear me speak about Het Haru, was a vicious beast. The story goes, Ra got tired of people mimicking him, mocking him, talking about him, so he sent her down there in lion form to take care of all the non-righteous people, the evildoers, and she started out okay. But what happened, either the evildoers got wind of it and started doing better, or the bad people, or the good people started getting, the bad people started getting good, or the bad people started getting bad. Anyway, she got confused. She started eating everybody. So that's another good story. But they're showing you have the power to do good or do bad. And when she was in the state, here you go, of egoist dullness and agitated mind state, she was a beast. That's what they just told you. But watch this. But then when she reverted, she changed back to her true form, which is loving, caring, and healing, when she became gentle, kinder, and calm. She went from being a lioness, okay, to being a domestic cat, bastet. Went to be from there to being a house cat. And they respected cats in Egypt. But this points to what? The fact that the source of ugliness and negativity within the human personality, what? Lies in the state of what? The mind of each person who adopts their thought process, which is ignorance of self. Okay? The mindset which the mindset which a person, every individual adopts is really in accordance with their level of what? Spiritual evolution. How intelligent are you? How much do you aspire to be better? How much do you want from yourself? You want to better yourself? That's what you need to be doing. But therefore, here you go. Ignorance and delusions only lead to what? Jealousy, conflict, lead to ugliness and negativity in the form of what? Anger, hatred, greed, selfishness, jealousy, conflict, frustration, and even ending violence. Most people who can't control their emotions, most people who aren't spiritually enlightened enough to control themselves will do all of those things. And if those are the qualities that you exhibit, check yourself. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Watch this. So, on the other hand, now, serenity, peace of mind, and lucidity of the mind, what? Leads to the expression of peace, gentleness, compassion, empathy, love, and other virtuous qualities in one's personality. So it brings out the best in you. That's what they're trying to show you. Ignorance brings out the worst. Self-knowledge brings out the best. That's what they're trying to point out to you. And that's what it's all about. Now I'm wrapping it up. Okay, next one, wrapping it up. So I got a nice little time. I got one more paragraph for you. This is called detachment. And what it is, you're practicing your personality. You have the qualities and the level of doing what you need to do. Now you're practicing detachment. What that mean? Got a nice little paragraph, break it down for you. Detachment from your ego mind should not be a hard concept to understand. Well, I'm going to detach myself. No, it shouldn't be hard, but watch this. But most people, concept of self is based on what? Their identification with who? Their ego self. That's the first identification we have from the cradle to the grave. That's who we identify ourselves with. Your ego is your identification. They comment on my man Carl Jung, it's the id. Identification. Get it? That's the modern name for it. We call it the ego. Moving on. Same thing. Why? Because the ego and its desires, which is the longings and the beliefs, are all that what the person understands, because that's all they got. They've been programmed to think that, believe that, and they lived it. So unless you reprogram your wiring, you're going off the program your parents gave you. Another lesson, but that's neither. But the mind had to be what? Deprogrammed and then reprogrammed, as George would tell you. But however, daily spiritual practice will allow a person to discover the underlying essence of their mind. We call them Amun, the hidden one, the witness. This occurs, to every person in the world when every single day of their life. Albeit, what's this? Indirectly, when you go to sleep, you experience dreams, but at other times there are what? No dreams, no awareness of the world. That's what they call it, deep sleep. Okay, when you don't remember, when you come out, you don't remember nothing. Okay, I tell you, you're practicing to die. What happens to your ego? It dissolves into what? Your consciousness, just as a wave subsides in the ocean from which it arises. When you wake up, you are what? Refreshed. Plus the mind got a chance to do its thing. And you experience what? A transcendental feeling. Just so feel good. But guess what? But do not specifically remember anything that happened. That's the name of the game. Now, what would happen if you were to specifically remember what happened? What would happen if you were to cause, the wave of thoughts and egoistic desires to what? Subside while you were in the state of wakefulness. When you're conscious, you act, you do, or be accordingly. And you would discover in what? In a conscious way, the same truth that you experienced in that deep, dreamless sleep state. See where you going with that? And you would discover that there is a deeper part of yourself which sustains your personality and day-to-day realities. This thing up here. It is this deeper essence of who you are that manifests as the three states of consciousness. I got that coming up for you too. It's called dullness, ignorance, agitation, being not getting what you want. So that's a roller coaster ride. Happy when it's good, sad when it's bad. That's agitated mindset. And lucidity is clearing the mind through detachment and lucidity of what? Consciousness. And you got to remember these, the 7 manifestations of your psycho spiritual consciousness, aka energy centers, or we know them as the chakra, kundalini. Okay, that's the 7. And this is your higher self. They tell you that all the time. 7 is invaluable. 7, yeah, because it's the 7 chakras that you enlighten inside yourself. That's how you reach your higher self, aka God, within yourself. And that part of you, which is what? Not dependent on the world. Here you go. And the desires of the ego. The higher self could care less about what the ego don't do, like or don't like. Okay? When you discover and abide in this state of consciousness we call being awake, you are freed now from what? Your lower states. Now, that desire to do, you say, I ain't. Where before, yeah. See the difference? So you have made the change. And now you becoming what? An enlightened sage. A knower of the true meaning of what? The teachings that you've been learned. And you become the monarch or the ruler over what? Every aspect of your personality. That's the true definition of knowing thyself. Completely knowing every aspect of yourself. That's mastering every God that they study. I teach you that. You become supremely what? Peaceful. Hotep. Okay? And you rise above all temptation. The devil can't get me. Why? I'm not falling for none of the nonsense. That's why I ain't going for the banana in my tailpipe, so to speak. When you got that understanding, the devil will pass you by. Why? You're hard enough to crack. He don't want to work hard. He go get somebody that's easier. So now you good to go. And all your illusions and delusions from the physical world will take a back seat. Why? You know what it is now. It's an illusion. And the higher self is to be what? Discovered how? By the following plan as presented in the story of Het Haru and Tahuti. They have been discussed in length throughout this gloss and are presented similarly below, right quick. Even though the principles from the story of Het Haru and Tahuti have been presented below as a what? Succession in the hierarchical order, all of these disciplines, that's what they are, principles, are best practiced when in an integral fashion. What you know, you use them. This means that you do not wait to perfect mayat before starting to practice detachment. Practice then. You should, again, practice. When you learn something, first thing I want to do is put it in practice. If I learn it, I want to try it. I want to see if it works. So you practice what you learn. And all of these, as life presents you with, opportunities. Every situation, adverse, good, bad, every opportunity gives you, is like a test of your spiritual intestinal strength of what? Your het haru faculty of what? Knowing right from wrong and doing what's right, regardless of how you feel, what you think, you're going to do what you knew is right. That's right thinking philosophy. That's right living. That's exercising spiritual discipline. And that's the lesson. And in closing, right thinkers, may y'all live to be 100 and me 100 minus a day. So I never know the right thinker like you who passed away. Oh, I'll be back.